Hey Inguz Nation, Wednesday's workout is Garage War. We've got 3 rounds for a max reps of 5 different 1-minute stations, followed by a minute of rest after each round. The 5 stations that we're working through are a dumbbell thruster, a dumbbell power clean, over and back dumbbell hops, the dumbbell push press, and then burpees. After our minute of burpees, we're going to rest for 1 minute and then repeat that sequence for 3 rounds total. Modifications for today. The thruster, the power clean, and the push press are meant to be performed with 2 dumbbells. However, we'll show a modification with a single dumbbell as well. And if we're using a barbell for those 3 movements, we want to load it with a light weight today. 75-55 would be prescribed in the gym. The stimulus is meant to be similar to the workout Fight Gone Bad, where we're working for high rep, high volume through those movements. So we want to choose weights that allow us to not have to take too many breaks within that minute. With only 1 minute of rest after each round, this is not going to be a sprint through each of those 5 movements, but rather we want to try to pick a pace that allows us to keep each of those rounds within about 5 to 10 reps total of each other. It's a good idea to have a breakup strategy going into today's workout. So one approach we could take is 20 seconds of work followed by 10 seconds of rest for 2 rounds each minute, or potentially 40 seconds of work, leaving us 20 seconds of rest and transition to that next station. Whatever approach we take, the name of the game is going to be consistency today. We don't want to go out too hot in that first round, have a huge rep total, but then have it trail off over the remaining 2 rounds. Let's try to stay really consistent across those 3 rounds, again, keeping the rep totals within about 5 to 10 reps of each other. For our warm-up today, we're going to go through 30 seconds of each of the following, starting with a Spider-Man stretch. We're stepping our foot out, dropping that elbow down, and then reaching up to the sky, alternating legs for that 30 seconds. After the Spider-Man stretch, we're going to flip over and do a glute bridge. So lying on our back with our feet planted, we're driving those hips up to the ceiling, having a good squeeze at the top before dropping back down. After the glute bridge, we're going to stand it up and do a lateral squat. This is also called a Cossack squat, so we're taking a wide stance, lunging out to one side, back and forth for that 30 seconds. After the lateral squats, we're going to go back to the glute bridge, but do this as a single leg this time. So on our back, we'll do 30 seconds on one side, so either left or right. And then after the 30 seconds on one side, we'll switch to the other and do 30 seconds there. After the single leg glute bridge, we're going to stand it up again and do 30 seconds of a lateral line hop. So we're just hopping side to side. So this is going to be similar to our over and back dumbbell hop within our workout today. From there, we're going to finish with 30 seconds of a pigeon pose stretch on each side. So we'll start on one side first with that leg swept through, trying to get our hips as low to the ground as we can. Holding that stretch, we can drop our chest down if we want to. We'll hold for 30 seconds on that one side, and then we'll switch and go 30 seconds on the other. As was mentioned up front, the thruster, the power clean, and the push press are meant to be performed with a double dumbbell today. However, depending on the weight of dumbbells that you have, it may actually be more appropriate to do this as a single dumbbell. We want the weight to be light, something that we can cycle for big sets within each of those 1-minute stations. So make sure that we're choosing appropriately. That being said, if we do have lighter dumbbells and we're doing the double dumbbell version, our thruster is going to start with those dumbbells resting on the shoulders, back head of the dumbbell is resting on top of the shoulder. We're going to initiate that movement by sending our hips back through a full squat. As we get to the top of the squat, we're jumping that weight up off the shoulder and then pressing overhead. Focus today on keeping those heels down throughout that movement to make sure that we're nice and efficient, we're not using any extra energy. If we're doing the single dumbbell version, we're going to hold it in a front rack position with both hands. Again, initiating hips back in that squat, sending the dumbbell up and overhead, making sure that we're locked out in that finished position, letting the dumbbell get back to our shoulders before we drop back down into that squat. For the power clean, if we're using 2 dumbbells, we're going to start with the dumbbells outside of the feet. Only the front head has to touch. When we go through that movement, we're going through our deadlift, jumping at the top to bring those dumbbells to our shoulder. Just like a barbell power clean, we want to focus on keeping the arms straight through that jump and then dropping under and into our quarter squat to receive the weight before standing up to finish the rep. If we're working with a single dumbbell, we're going to have the dumbbell touch between our feet this time. Again, only the front head has to touch. And we're going to alternate arms every single rep. So as we come off the shoulder, we're switching to that other hand before bringing it back down to the floor. Make sure we're still getting that elbow through just like we would with a barbell or 2 dumbbells. For the over and back dumbbell hop, this is a lateral hop over our dumbbell on the floor. We want to try to jump with 2 feet and land with 2 feet on the other side. There's 2 different approaches that we can take with this. One would be to move continuously like Kate is showing here, where she's not pausing on either side. This is going to be the more challenging version. The other option would be to have a little pause after each jump, just to kind of gather yourself to make this a little bit easier. Either option is totally fine, we just want to try to move continuously for that minute. If we're working with a barbell today, we could do this as an over and back hop over the barbell. However, that's going to be a lot more challenging than the dumbbell because it's a lot higher off the ground. The other approach that you could take would be to either use a dumbbell or something of similar height on the floor to be more similar to the movement we just showed. After the over and back dumbbell hop, we're moving to a push press. If we're using 2 dumbbells, our starting position is going to be very similar to our thruster today. We're going to initiate the movement with a slight dip, keeping our chest up, driving those weights off of our shoulders, and then finishing with the press overhead. The finish position as well is going to be the same as our thruster that we did earlier in the workout. Now, if we're working with a single dumbbell, we're going to hold it in a front rack position just like we did our single dumbbell thruster. Again, initiating with that little dip and drive, and then pressing overhead, getting our arms locked out in a solid finish position with that dumbbell stacked over our shoulders. Our last station in the workout today is the burpee. These are standard burpees where we're dropping our chest to the floor, jumping those feet back in, and then finishing the movement with a little hop, reaching our hands up over our head. With the 1 minute of rest after this station, try to move continuously for that full minute on the burpee. If you need to, you can always do the approach where we're stepping our feet back and stepping them in to keep our heart rate down if it allows you to move continuously for that minute.